So I have another talky talk, informative kind of video for you all today. I hope you genuinely don't mind me taking this kind of direction currently. I just really haven't been playing a lot of games, and we'll definitely get into that in this video, but I do think once the new season comes out, that will definitely help. But for now, this is just an idea I had with the release of Scarlet and Violet, and I think it kind of works. Upon looking at the title of this video, you're probably like, Michelle, how would Destiny 2 ever be similar to Pokemon? This was an idea I had with the release of the new games, and the more I thought on it, the more I felt like I could expand on it. So here we go. Of course, Destiny 2 and the Pokemon series of games are completely different. One is a hybrid FPS MMO, and the other is a turn-based RPG. And yes, I'm pretty much only talking about the mainline Pokemon video games in this video. We're not counting like Pokemon Go or TCG or like their League of Legends dupe, etc. But as I was saying, they are completely different. So what do they have in common? Let's talk through my points in similarity here so I can give my later ideas some weight. Number 1, they are both long-standing games. Granted, Pokemon has been around triple the amount of time Destiny has. Don't get me wrong, these two franchises are here to stay. Pokemon has obviously had the time to expand with TCG, mobile games, spin-offs, and anime, etc. We're now seeing some of that progress with Destiny. Word on the street is that a TV show is in the works. We have additional resources like the grimoires to refer to. And of course, Destiny 2 eventually released as well. Another thing that I saw today is that Destiny is currently hiring an intern, and it is called the Destiny Historian. So they obviously want to keep up to date with the story that they've already implemented. We're still early on in the future conglomerate that Bungie seems to be shaping up Destiny to be. But there's no denying both their cemented spots in the video game industry. So why did these two games make it this far? Number 2, they have no competition. I don't know if I want to go so far as to say they're a monopoly. Obviously, there's other games out there such as Digimon and other FPS such as COD, but you have to admit there's a reason why these games are so successful, and it's simply because there's no other games like them. People don't buy Pokemon games because they want to play a turn-based RPG. They buy them simply because they are Pokemon games. Scarlet and Violet are broke as hell, yet they have had the highest revenue upon release of any of the games to date. It's the same with Destiny. Sure, you could play COD or Overwatch or Apex or some other fun shooty McShooty pants game, but they don't mix MMO elements like Destiny does. You could play WoW or the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with a free trial and includes the entirety of Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward expansion up to level 60 with no restrictions on playtime. But then you'll lose out on all the weapons and Destiny and flexibility between roles from the start. Plus, I'd argue that Bungie is the pillar of gunplay in the video game industry. That's what they cemented in the Halo games, and then they brought that over to Destiny and expanded on it. Now, when I bring up all these other games, I don't want to discredit any of them. Obviously, these are all very popular games. I'm just trying to say there's really no other games like Pokemon or Destiny. And number 3, they want you to grind. Now, I will admit the grind is a little different between the two games. And certainly, we've seen the Pokemon games get a little easier over the years, but there is still a grind to both. When Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl released, I grinded so hard because you knew from the start that Nintendo finally wanted to give us older, in parentheses, crowd what we wanted in a remake, a difficult game. I frickin' EV trained a Garchomp simply for the League battles, and it was such a rewarding payoff to finally beat the Elite Four and Cynthia on my first try, where all my friends were genuinely facing difficulty for the first time in a while in a Pokemon game, because they went through, like they usually try to, as fast as possible. And when you finish the narrative in a Pokemon game, there's still a grind for the best Pokemon or shiny Pokemon in the post-game, which still feels rewarding because you either have a hard-hitting monster or a Pokemon that you simply like because it's a different color. Destiny 2 has a lot of things to grind for. However, not all of these feel good. Festival of the Lost was when I really dropped off because I played it for a few days, but it never felt fun to me. The weapons were alright, but why do I need another gun when I have this great roll in my inventory that's already meta and already maxed out? Or why do I need this drop when I could just craft it? And we see each season the meta changes and we cycle through the weapons, and then that creates the need to grind again. But mid-season, once we've gotten everything we need, there's not a point to keep grinding. I think it's also normal for things to be slow. But how slow is too slow? The 𝗙𝗪𝗡 event was neat, and we were all super excited because we thought, oh cool, a secret mission, and then certain wannabe YouTubers like myself get clowned because turns out it's just a micro event. And then the real event comes out, and the entire community does it in a day. What I'm getting at here is that with grind comes a burnout, especially if reward isn't as great. And this is the case for Destiny right now, in my opinion. Before I get to the big points of this, I just want to say I'm not a game dev. I don't know anything. I have rocks in my brain. I'm just giving my opinion. I am in no way trying to diminish or slander the hard work of the people at Bungie. They have repeatedly given us great content. So I really don't want to take anything away from their work. This is just some of my thoughts as to what could help make the grind feel better. All right, so what can Destiny learn from Pokemon? I'm going to assume most people are familiar with Pokemon, but if you haven't played, let me tell you a bit about shiny Pokemon. Shiny Pokemon were introduced in Generation 2, and were basically the same all around except they have a different color. And it's not like one Pokemon, like Pikachu, could be all sorts of different colors. They have one shiny variation and that's it. And some are better than the others. Pikachu is literally just orange, but Espeon is freaking green, and that's cool. It's a sign of extreme luck and clout if you see someone with a shiny. Back when Gen 2 released, the base rate of finding one of these shinies was 1 in 8,192. That's a lot. Since then, the games have made it much easier to obtain these shinies and have even added way more ways to obtain them. I won't get into them all, but it's still difficult to do, just a little less frustrating. Destiny tried to do this when they introduced weapon crafting, an easier way to get drops for the casual player. Just get 5 red borders, craft that sucker, level it up, and you're set. The problem is that this has made it too easy, and I'm a casual player. It takes away from the hype of finally seeing a weapon drop and thinking, hell yeah, I finally got it. Plus, there's no reason to get drops anymore when they added enhanced traits to weapons better than the base traits to normal weapon drops. I do think weapon crafting is good in some ways because, hey, not everyone can play the game frequently. That's fine. But where Pokemon has added easier ways to obtain a random shiny Pokemon, Destiny has circumvented their way of obtaining random weapon rolls. Pokemon made the drop rate higher for shinies and added methods of obtaining them. Destiny didn't improve the drop rate for rolls, they changed the drops themselves by adding red borders for crafting and made them way better with enhanced traits, negating any reason to get a drop in the first place. It's like if Pokemon said, hey, we know Pikachu's shiny version sucks, so just catch 5 Pikachu and then your next Pikachu encounter, it'll be hot pink. Who would ever shiny hunt again if they did that? Just go out, catch your 5, and be done. So what's the play here? I definitely think enhanced traits should not have been introduced with crafting. Increase the drop rates for god rolls, especially for exotic raid drops. I'm thinking of you, Dado. You'll get that touch of malice one day, man. And add another rate for them to drop with enhanced rolls. With an increased rate, it would be much easier to obtain a good weapon from the start, but the more hardcore crowd could really work for the enhanced traits when hunting for the perfect day 1 weapon or PvP god roll. The casual crowd can keep crafting for god rolls, but maybe increase the amount as well to be more than 5 red borders. Now that's kind of my tangent on crafting, but what else can be done to make the grind more enjoyable? Well, dear reader, as we've seen, the years have continued and shiny rates have increased in Pokemon games. More and more people now feel like they can shiny hunt with whatever method they choose. I have watched many a stream now where someone just shiny hunts for like hours and chats because it's enjoyable to see the shiny finally drop. People will go nuts just to have something that looks cool, even if it's something as simple as a Pokemon being a different color. Destiny 2 has shaders and emblems, but for the most part, they're either given away or in the store for Bright Dust, and we've seen way cooler shaders released lately, as well as the addition of mementos for playlist activities. So what if Destiny also did something similar to Pokemon? Let's use Deepstone Crypt weapons as an example because those are some of my favorite weapon designs in the game. What if you also had the chance, while running the raid, to drop a succession that instead of having blue highlights had like hot pink ones and a texture to it, or a cool ornament only for succession? And granted, yes, we do already have the ability to add shaders to any guns, but some of these mementos and new shaders have been getting increasingly fancy. A way to reward us with new cosmetics is, in my opinion, the way to make the game much more satisfying. And why is that? I think good stat rolls or traits, you're only scraping the surface of making the character you play in a game feel like yours. You feel strong, but if everyone has the same weapons as you, there's not a lot of individuality with your character. But the second someone has a cool skin in Overwatch, I'm like, what the hell is that? That's so cool. Now, I'm not saying D2 should lock cosmetics behind a paywall. Definitely not that. But I'm saying give us more mementos, emblems, ornaments, and unique shaders as rewards for grinding. You can still have stuff in the Eververse if you want, but give us cool ones to work for too. And not just in playlist activities, of course. I've accepted the fact I will probably never obtain the Trials memento. Now, is that probably more work? Yes. I don't want to suggest something that takes more time than me, the average monkey brain player, thinks it does. But as we've seen, Bungie is almost always hiring tons of roles, and they are creating their franchise conglomerate. As Bungie grows and continues to grow, I hope that more cosmetics and cosmetic drops will be more feasible in the future. Anyways, this ended up being a fever dream of a few thoughts I'd thrown together. What do you think? Do you think you'd feel more of an inkling to play the game for cosmetics? And if the drop rates were a bit better, do you think crafting needs some tweaks or not? Let me know what you thought of my little Pokemon and Destiny crossover event here. I will see y'all in the next one.